Hello everybody and welcome to the Daily Splatt. Today is our fourth video in our series of 20 reviewing the English Premier League season 2011-2012. Today, Bolton Wanderers. I've just gone back and watched the preview video for Bolton that I did, sat on this very couch 10 months ago, and if you want to click on it I'm sure it'll be linked there, but basically I predicted very incorrectly that Bolton would finish 11th. And I actually said I don't think they're going to be in any danger of being relegated. My thoughts at the time were that the squad was good enough. They'd had a good season the season before, and it just all fell apart after the 5-0 FA Cup semi-final loss to Stoke and saw them finishing 14th in the end. And I thought that didn't justify some absolutely brilliant football that Bolton had been playing under Owen Coyle. And I also said that they were capable of getting big results, and that they would, and that would be enough to keep them up, and indeed see them finish mid-table with a good, solid performance. I predicted 11th. I was wrong, Bolton fans, okay? I'm so sorry. I really do like Bolton. Sadly, they have been relegated. They were relegated on the final day of the season when they drew 2-2 with Stoke, a match which, had they won, they would have stayed up, with QPR losing to Manchester City. So Bolton Wanderers are relegated after a fairly extensive stay in the top flight, where they have been at times amazing and at other times rather unenjoyable and frustrating. You know, the Bolton of the Sam Allardyce era, with players like JJ Okocha playing for them, and Ivan Campo, they were just a fantastic little side that, seemed to cause the big sides a lot of trouble and generally did well, and, got into Europe and things like that, but obviously they declined under Megson, and then sadly Owen Coyle, whilst he got them playing some very attractive football, the team just hasn't done it. And I think injuries has been a big thing. Not having Stuart Holden or Park Chu-young for the whole season has absolutely been detrimental. They would have stayed up had either of those players been fit. Stuart Holden's an excellent, good holding midfielder, and it'll be interesting to see if he stays or not, because I reckon you'll see Premier League sides willing to take a punt on him, even though he's been out of football for more than a year. Similarly, Park Chu-young, very good young winger that would improve most Premier League sides. So sadly, there might be something of an exodus. Jussi Askalainen is not involved anymore. He's said that he's leaving, which is, a bit of a shame. But in fairness, Adam Bogdan did take his spot as a starting goalkeeper around the turn of the year. Where did it all go wrong for Bolton? Pretty much the whole season, aside from, of course, that thrilling 4-0 opening day victory against QPR. It wasn't enough, sadly, to keep them up. They just kept getting beat. They played really poorly in a lot of games. They got beat 5-0 by Manchester United at the Reebok Arena, and they were completely spineless in that game, and they just weren't able to get the results when they really needed them. And it is a real shame, because Owen Coyle, I think, is a good manager. He showed that he's certainly good at getting sides promoted, with getting Burnley up, and in those first few months when he was at Bolton, they looked brilliant. I think he'll keep his job, because he is a manager who's got a bit of experience and, as I said before, is good at promotion pushes. But he's going to have to completely rebuild that team to get them back up, and I'm not sure if they're going to come straight back up. I think of the three teams that have been relegated, Bolton are probably the most likely to do what West Ham have done this season and just come straight back up. However, it could happen, but it's going to be a very interesting few months to see what sort of squad they shape at Bolton. So we'll have to wait and see that. And obviously the big story of the season for Bolton came not in the Premier League but in the FA Cup, with their player Fabrice Muamba collapsing, having had a cardiac arrest on the pitch in an FA Cup game against Tottenham Hotspur. That game was abandoned. Muamba was clinically dead for about 78 minutes, I believe it was. So he's certainly, he's alive. Thankfully, he recovered. He's up and walking about. He turned up, to watch some of the games at the end of the season, and he's recovering. That was a very emotional time for Bolton. They picked up a couple of important victories at that stage, but it just wasn't enough to keep them up. And obviously, it's the Muamba thing will have had a knock-on effect and will have caused it just consumed the club for a few weeks. And you can't say that's the reason they were relegated, but it did seem to cause this big distraction at the time, as it should. But losing him as a player, just getting away from the fact that he did almost die, just taking that player out of that team was a problem for them, because without Holden and without Mwamba, they really did lose their midfield impetus. So it's sad to see Bolton go, but hopefully they can rebuild themselves, hopefully with Owen Coyle as well, and shoot their way back up into the top flight. So there we go. Okay, that's it for our Bolton review. Tomorrow, Chelsea. A very interesting season. Not too good in the Premier League, but not bad in the cup competitions either. Lots to talk about there. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for that. Also, sorry about the delay between these. It was supposed to be day after day, but had a very busy weekend. Okay, that's all for today. Until then, ta-ra!